Hi everyone, thanks for watching. You can support our work on our website, ageoftruth.tv. And please like our videos, subscribe to our channels on YouTube, BitChute and Brighteon. And remember to hit the bell for notifications. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook. To be sure not to miss any of our shows, you can sign up for our newsletter on our website, ageoftruth.tv.
Hey, Brian. Hi.
Hey, Lautka, how are you doing, brother?
Hey, there you are. Yes, now I can hear you.
Excellent.
And see you. Great to have you on.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I've watched your show from years ago, and and get to catch it from time to time. And I know a lot of our mutual friends have been on it, so it's an honor and great fun to be here.
Oh, perfect. I like that. Well, you know what? I think we should just go right into it. So let me get
Hey,
Hi,
Lucas.
Brian.
Oh, you're looking snazzy too.
And so do you. Nice to see you.
Thank you, brother. You too.
Great. Wonderful.
Perfect.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm really looking forward to Contact in the Desert in 2 days from now.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Age of Truth TV. I'm Lucas Alexander in Denmark. It's the 27th of May 2025. And we have a special guest on the show for you today who calls himself the Solar Bee. He is the creator of the Full Disclosure Movement, and he's an ET contactee, a researcher, a lecturer, an event organizer, and the executive producer of the Full Disclosure Now conference. This year it's going to take place at St. Pete Beach, Tampa Bay, Florida, between the 15th and 18th of July 2025. He's here to discuss the conference and the origin of humanity and a lot more. Brian Singh.
Commanding officer, Enterprise, arriving.
Have you been wondering about these worldwide sightings of UFOs, orbs, and so-called drones? Did you know that the massively popular series Stranger Things, coming up in its 5th season, is based upon a very real secret government program known as the Montauk Project? In order for us to collectively liberate humanity and enter into our Star Trek future, the general public must come to understand the truth of secret space programs, super soldier operations, extraterrestrials, military abductees, and other nefarious schemes that continue to this day. The Full Disclosure Movement works not only to educate and whistleblow, it shall rally the global movement for justice, healing, and reconciliation as regards all these matters. Ever wondered how we can work together to achieve our Star Trek future? Well, look no further than the 2025 Full Disclosure Now Conference. Over 4 days and nights, we'll have world-class presenters on 2 different stages, with each night capped by a special event dinner with speakers and live music performances. Featured presenters include French super soldier Jean-Charles Moyen, Lucas Alexander with Age of Truth TV, Jenny Lee, Psychic Seer, reconnecting us with past loved ones and pets during her exclusive gallery, and James Bartley flying in from Australia to speak on reptilian ETs. And we have Laura Eisenhower presenting, among others. We're bringing together the brightest disclosure leaders to you. And oh, by the way, we'll be revealing our app and super platform combining Web3, a full disclosure cryptocurrency, positive agentic AI, and cutting-edge e-commerce to empower wealth creation for all contributors, advancing the full disclosure movement alongside our platforms. And of course, don't miss the finale dinner costume contest. While this is a conference with serious disclosure content, we do encourage costumes and for people to have an all-around great time. And of course, don't forget to join us after the conference for our amazing and free sister event, Day of Being 5.0, in their 5th year, gathering starseeds and lightworkers at nearby Indian Shores Beach. Book your discounted stays now at the lovely Sarada Beach Resort by visiting our website. The discount applies for the entire week from July 14th to the evening of Sunday the 20th, so people can join us the evening beforehand all the way through Day of Being 5.0. For up-to-date details and to secure admissions passes, go to fulldisclosuremovement.org.
Good evening from Denmark and welcome to all of our viewers on Age of Truth TV. It's wonderful to see you all here. Please like our video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell for notifications. We have a great guest for you today, a gentleman who is the executive producer of the Full Disclosure Now conference that's going to take place between the 15th and the 18th of July 2025 in Florida, St. Pete Beach, Florida, in Tampa Bay. And it's so great to welcome on the show Brian Singh joining us from Nevada. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Lucas. Thank you for having me here today. It's quite an honor. I've been watching your show over the years, and so many people in our community and people I look up to have been here. Recently, you had Alondra Markman for several episodes, and he was part of our 2023 Montauk Adventure Tour, which we spent about 5 days at Montauk Point Camp Hero area, where the Montauk Project took place, or Project Phoenix is the military code name, and Alondra was part of that.
Yes, that's so fascinating. And we've had several speakers on talking about the Montauk Project and what happened there, which is incredible and outrageous, really. And I would love to hear more about that as well from you and why you decided to do this tour. But first of all, I think you should tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your background and why you're doing what you're doing. Supposedly, you claim to be an ET contactee as well as being a researcher and now an event organizer. So please just share a little bit about your background.
Yeah, thank you, Lucas. And I'm not a direct Conti experiencer so much as I work with so many people as an organizer advocate in the full disclosure community. Many of them are telepathically in contact. They're psychic mediums, seers, telepaths, channelers. And so I speak with various groupings, and there's a lot of discernment that goes into play there. And I can go into that if we have time or on another episode. It really starts with my own father, Jack Singh. He's no longer with us as of 2 Novembers ago, but he started a company called Singh Labs Inc. out of our basement in Newtown area, Pennsylvania. And later on, we moved to New Hope, but he really revolutionized the whole computer field. He caught up IBM computers with Apple in the computer graphics side during the 80s and 90s. He pioneered overclocking and making graphics chips and graphics processing motherboard types. That really inspired me, and it also gave me the ability, the eldest of his 3 idiot sons with mom, and mom's great, to get my biochemistry degree and realize I didn't like what the biotech pharma field was like. So I got to go into medical organizing with doctors and nurses to fight for people's medical care. That was from 2003 to 2012-ish. And we fought for not only against denials of heart surgeries and transplants or things like that by organizing doctors to stand up for patients and throw that as a united, organized group at the insurance companies. Oftentimes we'd reverse denials. But then we took on huge nonprofit hospital corporations that don't pay taxes, gobble up all the money, then drive up the cost of care, put other hospitals out of business, gobble them up, and then decide which ones are going to keep and which ones are going to shut down after rating the best patient care to their ivory tower hospitals. And instead of saying, what do we want healthcare? When do we want it now? We said, well, let's go after their nonprofit status and jeopardize that by putting pressure on the politicians who keep getting elected and take their campaign money, but then give them their nonprofit tax breaks while they shut down hospitals and dump poor people onto the county. And it's this whole circle and spiral. The reason why I'm going into this in this detail is that I'm applying all these skills to organizing the full disclosure movement. And we were able to stop multi-billion-dollar hospital corporations from shutting down multiple hospitals throughout Northern California by threatening their nonprofit status at the local, state, and before we even got to federal, they were backing off. And that's not the end-all, be-all, but it really, I got to learn tactics and strategy, how to do public speaking engagements and sign up a membership and provide benefits to them on an all-volunteer, non-government, totally independent, shoestring basis. And since then, I put in my own resources because there's a certain biological campaign all over the world around 2000. And when a solution came out where you have to roll up your sleeves, I decided we needed medical beds pronto, because the vast majority of people in my circles, not the ones I know online, wonderful people such as yourselves watching this and you, Lucas, but I knew, oh my gosh, this is so bad. If we don't get medical beds soon, it's really bad. And it is bad. The numbers and all the evidence out there don't lie. But with that, I realized, well, med beds, that's ET technology being hidden from us, utilized in deep underground military bases and in secret space programs. And the only way we would ever get access to said med beds is if we had full, what the other side calls catastrophic disclosure. But to me and many others, we don't see it as such. It doesn't have to be catastrophic. The more people understand the good, the bad, and the ugly of extraterrestrials and our governments and the deals that have been made, the sooner we can vibrate at a higher level of truth rather than living a lie. And that can help the positive ETs who are waiting up there and some down here to make contact with us. It allows them to not violate any prime directive. Because at the point enough of humanity realizes, yes, there are ETs, yes, they're here, yes, they can make themselves known, the sooner they can appear. There's still obstacles from there, and that's part of the movement work, and we can discuss that. But I hope that kind of answers your question there, Lucas.
You're from China originally?
Yes, it's kind of a World War II history where my mother's side of the family is Cantonese. And so when the US military came through China towards the end of World War II, right before the Civil War went down, before the Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek, right? My mother's father was a cook for the US military coming through. And that gave him US military veteran status. So that later on, it helped get him from China to Hong Kong, and then Hong Kong to New York City.
So you were born in America?
Yes, Philadelphia.
Great. So let's get back to the conference. What are you expecting? What are your hopes for the Full Disclosure Now conference in July?
So our goal with Full Disclosure is to achieve our collective Star Trek future for all of humanity, liberate us and Mother Earth. Okay. And therefore, we're bringing together the most cogent whistleblowers, people like Alondra Markman, and who's been on this show, to discuss these black budget programs, like where these $21 trillion, for example, that's being cited in our popular media here, at least in the US, about being stolen and possibly spent on underground military bases in places for the uber rich and supposed elites to hide out. In doing that, we're naming the names of the perpetrators. We're calling out if there are any victims who may be still alive in any of these bases, want them to be freed. We want all the perpetrators to be put on military tribunal, to be televised worldwide. We want healing centers with the medical beds. We want the free energy to be released, and anti-gravity. Anti-gravity, free energy, and time travel go together. Time travel, I'm not interested. I know in being released to the public, it's dangerous. I could see that being reserved only for trusted military, not rogue military. And that really takes us to the Montauk Project.
I want to know if what you're talking about is what you created called Full Disclosure Movement, or are you talking about the Full Disclosure Now conference coming up in just a month?
Well,
What
they
is
go
going to
together.
take place there?
Well, okay, so for the conference, the conference is my effort to help drive the movement how I can. I do not in any way, shape, or form take ownership of the Full Disclosure Movement, however you want to call it, total exposure movement. It doesn't matter what you want to call it. The main thing is that we need it to be organized and more goal-oriented, in my opinion. The conference is a means to that end. By bringing together 30 plus, almost 40, actually probably 40 different presenters spanning ET contact, Montauk Project, secret space programs, paranormal cryptids, remote viewing, psychic healing, inner earth contact, Tartaria, ET, like ancient alien artifacts, so the Wahilo stone varieties like these that date anywhere from 3,000 to 19,000 years old. With the older they are, the more powerful they tend to be, being found all throughout Latin America, particularly Mexico. I've seen them also in Honduras personally. By bringing together that conference over 4 days and nights at the lovely Serrata Beach Resort, and yourself on the main Galactic stage, of course, like it's, in sunny Florida, literally the Serrata Beach Resort, we've got these two stages, but then at night, we end cap the presentations with a special event dinner. Those are lovely, and those are probably my favorite parts of the conference. We then hang out right there on the patio, which is right there on the beach. And then you just walk into the water if you want. At night, it's so warm, that Gulf Coast water, that I can swim in there. I only get cold when I get out. I need a towel and it's windy a bit. But for me, that's amazing. Usually I have like a wetsuit or something if I want to swim in the ocean. But the world-class pool of people there, not only the presenters that you can already find on the website, fulldisclosuremovement.org, all one word. We have an amazing honored guests and featured exhibitor list that we just didn't have room for everyone to be on stage.
You mentioned the lady's name.
Basically, we have a whole list of honored guests and featured exhibitors, including folks like Barbara Hudak of the Heart Math Institute. We didn't have room for everyone to present this year, but I wanted really the point of the conferences is to really kickstart all of us. And from last year's 2024 event last July, people have gone on expeditions with each other to Mexico to excavate yet more of these Huehuelos objects for the whole world to know about. We had Yemi Janae of the Farsight Institute, who's coming back again this year to present. They were told by the Galactic Federation, their contacts last year, whatever, Galactic Federation, I know gets kicked around widely. There's a lot of imposters out there. There's a Galactic Alliance, a Confederation of Worlds. Don't get me started, people, but their contacts told them during one of their ET boardroom meetings last November 13th, that very soon there would be worldwide sightings of UFOs in our skies. November 15th, Dr. Courtney Brown of the Farsight Institute aired that episode. November 18th, we had worldwide sightings of UFOs in our skies. The lamestream media then pivoted and tried to put it on drones in New Jersey. Okay. And then they also gave all the credit to Cliff High, not that he doesn't deserve any credit, and his AI algorithm, but really the main lion's share should go to the Farsight Institute. Mm-hmm. And so that's the caliber of people that we have. I call that like actionable intelligence.
But do you think that those UFO sightings were actually military and was organized by the government?
Yes and no. What I believe is it's kind of like this. Let's say there's a certain political candidate that a bunch of people love here in the US, and they're throwing a huge boat party, and it's a huge regatta, and it's drawing massive attention. And then there are people who do not like that group. They don't like to see that group having a good time and getting a lot of positive publicity. So what they do is they get their own boat, fly their flag of the opposition, but as if they're part of them, then speedboat through their yachting regatta, throwing beer bottles at each other, shooting flare guns at people. And then they put that on the media saying, look at these people, look what animals they are. Okay. It's almost like a similar thing where you've got the positive friendlies worldwide in the skies, worldwide, with technology that's clearly more advanced than even ET reverse engineered from ET craft technology that we have in our secret space programs, which is pretty advanced, but compared to what the ETs have, no. And then what they do is they pan in to New Jersey, and then they show us these relatively advanced drones that are very large and can be perceived as threatening, to the point where some of them have been shown on camera to be spraying people and animals with some kind of fumes that can make them sick. And then they say, look at that. It's almost like the ETs, yeah, maybe if they are here, they're invaders. But you have to look at the stories that the lamestream media first tried to run. A mothership from Iran, Chinese drones, and then they had to retract it because people it went over like claiming Roswell was a weather balloon or swamp gas.
But don't you think this is what we've been expecting for a long time? We've been talking about this on this show for years and years, that they would do that to program the population, to prepare them for the fake alien invasion, which, of course, Werner von Braun from NASA, former Nazi scientist, talked about and revealed to Carol Rosin in 1976. We've heard about that a lot because we know that is their last big move to create a totalitarian new world order.
So yes, that's Project Bluebeam. And I do believe that the other side wanted to play that as a card. They might still try, but at this point, I don't think they could pull it off. And I think that this would be an excellent counter move or pre-move by our positive, friendly side to forestall that. I think that by already appearing worldwide in our skies for months on end, and to this day, like the other night, my one business partner and housemate, we're looking up and was like, I'm getting a tingle, they're up there. And then you're like, look, he would literally get a tingle and then turn around, look, they're up there. And then he'd point, and it would be a craft, like a light that wasn't blinking, not an airplane, moving too fast, changing direction. It's also not a satellite. And so these are some of the craft that we're seeing on a daily or nightly basis all around the world. And they're not threatening. They're not doing anything to hurt us. And so I think that the alien invasion thing, if anything, our good friendly guys have pissed off the bad guys and helped to remove that chess piece from the other guy's arsenal.
So you think that those sightings were actually real and they were alien ET crafts, UFOs, and not military and not a preparation like a psyop?
90% real, 10% fakey, wanting to be the psyop.
But it would be a good strategy for the government to do that, right? Because this is what we've been expecting.
it would be great if they had the resources and technology to do it. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be claiming, well, that's all holography and Project Bluebeam stuff, but then why would they do that, upset their narrative and screw up the whole point of Project Bluebeam, my understanding from the way it was supposed to go down, is it's supposed to be suddenly shock and awe across the world. Not back in November for months and months, winking friendly at us for months on end until now and going forward.
Well, maybe they're giving people a little hints there and there, preparing them psychologically, like they've done with all kinds of things, medical stuff and whatever we've seen to impose the New World Order with terrorist attacks and what have you. Let's not get into, well, we can get into all of that, but you know what, you know definitely where I am going. So it's just
I totally
to prepare
do.
the minds, which they've done anyway with the X-Files and all kinds of films, and
Yes.
Star Wars and Star Trek and all those things for years and years in order for us to accept alien existence and also for us to accept that there are these bad alien evil overlords.
So, I get that that's what the other side wants, but when you look at things again like the Farsight Institute with their contacts that Dr. Brown has been dealing with, some of them his whole life from childhood, and that surpasses the military's and government's capabilities by far. And so,
Don't you think they have advanced technology? People say
They do.
they have like 100 years ahead of what we
Oh yeah.
kind of known and what we've been told.
So Lucas, they have all of this, but they're not omnipotent. And they have their own weaknesses and internal contradictions. You know, like a lot of these so-called elites that are forced to participate in these rituals because they signed a rap deal, you know, they don't want to be, and you're going to be able to talk to Leo Zagami, you know, about this. A lot of these people, they want out. And some of those contradictions, whereas we want justice and freedom and Earth 2.0 on our side. We're very well motivated. And, you know, thank God it's not all doom and gloom. And just like there are negative agenda ETs, service to self, there are also much greater and powerful service to other ETs who are linked up with angelic beings who are always outrank demonic beings and all the way up to God's source.
And you know that, or you feel sure about that because you have felt this yourself, or you are yourself an ET contactee, or because you've spoken to a lot of people like I have, who's had those experiences, or well, say
So
that there are these helpful and benevolent ETs trying to help us, but we haven't seen much of that. We haven't seen much evidence of that help, have we?
Well, not in the mainstream, but when you take the interview content that you've already garnered over the years from all the people that have been on this show, together with all the remote viewing data, together with all the recalls of people who are recalling each other from the programs, the other side does not want this information out, to the fact that there are positive ETs, I believe, in contact with people. There's something known as the Starseed program, right? Where I believe I'm one of them, and I believe you and Lauga, our production team here, and everyone else in our community, so many are starseeds. And what it's all about is just like the positive ETs don't want to violate the prime directive by coming here and just fixing things. One way around all of that is to literally put some skin in the game by incarnating their people, us, down here as humans, because we live many lives, many incarnations. We can do our work to be part of humanity and awakening humanity and understanding and alchemizing that. And then we can also help open the door for then our cosmic brethren to come in when the time is right. And I see that as now. I see every indication that I have, even though there's a lot of darkness around and the old system is still crumbling, we still have to build the new. Every indication I have from my telepathic friends and ET contactees and even sources like my own father who's come through channelers through China, which didn't know my father and can tell me details about him. It's like, okay, that sounds like my dad. And yeah, you never met him, but that sounds like dad. Hi, dad. You know, I believe all of this is happening. I see it as kind of like this. I think Miley Cyrus naked on a giant wrecking ball, swinging through, and the bad guys were like swinging on that wrecking ball all the way through, trying to swing through all of us and then crash into the wall and crash through. And if they had broken through that wall, that would have been equivalent to the bad guys winning. What happened is they did everything they could, all the rituals, all the sacrifice, all the shenanigans, all the time travel editing, like with the Montauk Project, all the super soldier programs to do all the bad shenanigans they could get away with, and slam that ball into the wall. And instead of crashing through it, they went dunk, dunk, gung. And now they're kind of bouncing and flailing back. And now it's a pendulum swinging all the way up. Now it's going to swing back into the light. So we are swinging back into the light, and we're part of that process. We're obviously not clearly out of the woods yet, but my message is we definitely want to hope and not of pessimism. From everything, my own research, my own work, all my own contacts, from what I can tell, we're on a positive timeline moving forward, dealing with the old system, which is like a dying bear. Okay.
Well,
It's
a lot
very
of people
powerful.
do say that, but we haven't really seen much evidence, have we? I mean, because of everything that's happening now and everything that's been happening for the last 5 years specifically, and 20 years leading up to what is going on right now. This is like almost like the end games or the end times,
It
which of
is.
course they talk about, and the Great Reset, which
Mhm.
we know from the
But they're
World
failing. They're
Economic
failing.
Forum, but also they talk about it in a way astrologically and maybe also in religion in a way, right?
Well, yes, but even with the whole religion thing, we're entering into the age of Aquarius. And that's a higher vibration time that the darkness is being burned out by the light. With their worldwide campaigns, they didn't get all of us, nowhere near. And their depopulation rate is nowhere near what they expected. If you're good at picking up body doubles and CGI avatars and AI, you'll notice that we've seen AI avatars of the Pope for years now, way before, probably also with the Queen.
So
You
you
look
mean
at,
that Pope Francis was an
yes,
AI avatar, not a real person? Was that like a
Co-
holographic projection, an
uh,
illusion, like a very sophisticated version of Project Bluebeam or
it's a
something like that?
combination. It's a combination of all those. So whatever suits their purpose that they have available to maintain the facade, if they can just run a holographic projection to an audience because it's like it's supposedly him way above the crowd in a fixed location, and they can run a hologram, great. If they can get away with a CGI avatar to pretend he's at a news conference, great. If they need to trot out a for real in life body double, um, or a person in a mask, a body double with a mask and an actor, sure. That's all of those things are possible. If
But
they
why do
wanted
you
to do,
think it wasn't him until
well,
the end?
he changed. First of all, he changed in appearance so drastically. I mean, he went from the way he used to look to just like Joe Biden. You know, with Joe Biden and Putin, I'll stick with those two. Those are the two most obvious, in my mind, irrefutable swap outs. Putin pre 2009, 2010, or 11 was when he was swapped out. He was very cold, blue eyed, thin KGB killer Putin. Afterwards, he became much more fuller and more friendly, smiley. I call him Winnie the Putin. Okay. Or, and his own wife left him, said that's not my husband. And his policies changed, and his appearance totally changed. And I'm sorry if you believe 2009 Putin and 2024 Putin, now 2025 Putin are now the same, Putin, then forget about it.
People are going to
Same with
Google
Biden.
pictures now, you know?
Yeah, please do go to the pictures.
So a lot of people have talked about these clones and these doubles, and people have also talked about these reptilian shapeshifters. A lot of researchers, not just David Icke, have been talking about those reptilian aliens being the secret overlords for years that can project themselves like a holographic illusion for people to see a human. What are your thoughts on that?
So yes, it's not just David Icke saying it. It's everyone from Penny Bradley, who's speaking again on her main stage this year, who's seen them and interacted with them and has had Draco DNA injected into her when she was in her mother's womb in 1954, 1955 with the use of CRISPR technology back then. So that she could be more compatible with the Draco and their technology. To people like James Bartley flying from Australia to speak specifically on reptilian ETs. Unfortunately, generally most of his experiences, like Penny's, haven't been positive, but Penny, I believe, has had also more positive experiences with them. My understanding from John Whitberg and others, John Whitberg is also a Montauk Project experiencer, and I definitely recommend you should have him on. He has recall of Alondra Markman from the projects as well, and it might be vice versa too. But what he says is, it's kind of, think of it like this. You had something known as, and I, through telepaths who are in contact with some of these beings, I've also gotten some of this galactic history. But a nickel version of it is that you have what was once the the Orion, Draco, Siakar Empire. Those are the reptilian overlords with like the wings, okay? And they can be really large, and they're kind of depicted like in the movie Jupiter Ascending, okay? And they had their Orion Empire spanning vast parts of the galaxy, coming from the Milky Way center out to where we are, on the 8th spiral arm towards the tip. Swinging now into the age of Aquarius, that more into that positive area of higher energetic, gamma rays and bombardment. And that empire has been fractured for probably thousands of years, I'm told. But one of the things they would do is, like with the pyramids and all these sacred sites, that's why you have them aligned in the Orion configuration, is they're basically gang turf marking the Earth as being like, yo, Orion Empire beaches, this is Earth. Earth is part of our territory. Apparently, the Kuiper Belt used to be the planet Tiamat. Okay, the asteroid belt used to be a planet named Tiamat, and other people call it Maldek. And I'm told by folks in our community like Audrey Walters, the positive galactics, they kind of prefer, don't use the name Maldek. That's not really a name. Maldek in Draco Reptilian means our turf, our planet.
Well, it was actually Stuart Swerdlow who was on the show that introduced that planet or that name to us, I think, Maldek. We talked about, and obviously he's the Project Montauk survivor as well. But so obviously that was a planet, and you also think that was a reptilian planet?
Yeah, what I believe what happened is, this is going way back in Earth's history, and when Mars still had an atmosphere. Apparently, sometime in our history, we're a genetic experiment of like 21 or 22 or 24 starseed nations that came together to put their DNA into hominid humans here on Earth after wiping out the dinosaurs off the surface of this planet. That's millions of years, okay? Around over that time of the Draco, this being their turf, their planet for this whole time, we also had the Anunnaki came along, probably more hundreds of thousands of years ago, at which point they may have cut a deal with the Draco to basically lease us out so that they could use us to mine gold for them.
Sorry for just jumping in quickly here, Brian. So, because
Yes.
I just want to hear your thoughts on, do you think that the Anunnaki are reptilian? Do you think that they are reptilian as well, like the
They
Draco,
have,
just a
there may
different
be some,
species?
they're different species. There may be some crossover where they may have interbred over the, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years that they've probably been interacting. But in general, they're two different species categories who have tag teamed. The way John Whitberg explains is, think of like you've got the whole Milky Way, right? Would be like the galaxy, right? And then you've got the turf, that would be Draco turf. Think of that as more, I guess, boil it down more to like all of that territory is Earth. And the Draco territory would be like the United States. And then that would be their Draco Empire. And then the Anunnaki, they kind of came in and they've got like Wisconsin within the U.S. territory. And then Madison, Wisconsin would be like Earth. We'd be like kind of at a hot point center for them here or New York City, maybe. For the Anunnaki to lease humans to mine gold, because the Anunnaki apparently they have a bad reputation in terms of the Galactics for going around not honoring the Prime Directive, exploiting lesser advanced species on undeveloped planets, and then moving along. And the war on Mars, the reason why it may not have an atmosphere now, maybe because of something of warring between the Anunnaki and the Draco and infighting and exploiting early humans on Earth and on Mars and potentially on Tiamat. But I'm not sure.
So they are not on friendly terms, so to speak, the Anunnaki and the Draco. But do you think that they are?
Well, it's going to be it's on and off, because you've got hundreds of thousands of years of history. So there are times when we get along with Russia and China, and there are times when we're going to clash, or Germany, right? And then there are times we get along. And if you look at it from the outside, you say, well, do they get along or don't they? Well, it depends on what era, what time period, what factions are in power. The galactic history, I mean, just like you think Earth history is rich and varied, me trying to wrap my mind around galactic history from what I can glean off the internet, my contacts and all that, it's mind-boggling.
Let's talk about the origin of humanity then, because now you mentioned the Anunnaki, and they supposedly came here first. Maybe
not first.
Maybe the Draco was here first. Who was here first, do you think?
The Draco were here first. The Starseed nations came and decided to put their experiment here on Earth. Okay. The Anunnaki later came and together with the Draco were mistreating the human experiment. Okay. The Galactics may have come back and forth to try to sort things out. And then at a certain point, that's where they cut a deal with the Draco, where the Draco were no longer allowed to show themselves on the surface. And that's where they went underground. And then they're using the mind control and the puppet elites to then try to push their agenda covertly and sidestep these galactic agreements. And then the Anunnaki, likewise, they had to kind of like go underground and be undercover, but they still have their agenda that they're trying to carry out, likewise with similar bloodline families, and then that's all intermingled. And then those are the folks that Leo Zagami, are dealing with, and Penny Bradley.
So are they both shapeshifters?
They can to a certain extent, probably different species within the Anunnaki being class and within the reptilians. But not all reptilians can shapeshift, probably not all Anunnaki, but probably some can. The way that humanoids got here in the first place, the human form, from my understanding, is we come from the galactic Milky Way center of Lyra. And then, we're like cat people and dog people and people. And then the Draco reptilians dropped in from nowhere. So, who knows where, with highly armed armadas or fleets of ships. And they realized that the furry people were really yummy and had no defenses. And so they blew up several worlds in that region of space. And and this is confirmed to me every time I speak with any ET group and I try to ask about galactic history, I ask them about what's known as the Lyran diaspora. And I like to compare it to the meme run. Dun, na, 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 and people are like freaking out. Ah, and they're just running like crazy. And so the Lyran diaspora went from like Lyra to Sirius and Vega and maybe Andromeda and Orion.
Pleiadians.
Yeah, and the Pleiades and Rigel. And so that's why you've got the humanoid form so widespread. And then a lot of those groups eventually they got together, and then that's where they implanted the seed of humanity here on Earth.
And you have stated that black goo and something called gray goo is linked to the origin of humanity and the Lyrian star system and the AI superbrain computer. So there are many pieces in a larger puzzle, but please take us a little bit through that. So humanity comes from Lyra, and it's a cloned race or what? Some people also say that we are
Not cloned, but
between the reptilian and mammalian or Lyrian.
it would be taking all those humanoid species and maybe even some non-humanoid, glomming them together into one, including the reptilian DNA. And some people would say, why would any positive galactics want to include reptilian DNA when at that time, at least, those reptilians were of a negative or more service to self bent? And the reason is like this. For the reptilians, they wanted it because for them, it would give a backdoor channel through the reptilian brain, reptilian part of our human brain, okay, for them to manipulate us through some of our baser, lower vibrating feelings of like survival, domination, sexuality, power, okay? For the positive galactics, they see a strength in the reptilians that, while horrifying in some ways, is also very needed and necessary in a cold, cruel universe. For example, reptilians are hardwired that if they're in a starving situation and they had to eat their baby hatchlings maybe to survive, they could and they would. Okay, and they would survive. And survive they do. And a lot of the more benevolent ET races have been, I don't know, this is very unpolitical, un-PC, they've been pussified. Okay, they don't have.
Oh, now you're freezing again when you said pussified. And if you can hear me, you have to wait
I
for
can
just
hear
a
you.
second. Yes, now you're back. Strange
Okay.
things. Okay, so go back to pussified.
Yeah, so a lot of these more benevolent ETs have been pussified because they've left their home planets a long time ago. They've relied on technology to breed. They've distanced a lot of themselves from their emotional cores. They don't have that hardwired drive of do or die. And so that's a big reason for why we have the reptilian DNA combined. In us humanity, we have some of the highest vibrating and the lowest vibrating DNA of third density beings in one. And that's a terrible and a beautiful thing at once.
I want to get back to the Full Disclosure Now conference that's going to take place in a little over a month because you have I mean, what do you think are the most important topics at the moment? I mean, we're not talking about those people on the stage because everybody is bringing something different and wonderful to the table there. But I'm just thinking, what do you consider to be the most crucial and important topic to discuss when we go into the field of truth and conspiracy research?
So there's two. My favorite, and I think is hugely important, is breakaway civilizations. And when with them, that comes space travel and time travel, okay? And consciousness transfer and cloning and avatar bodies. That's a big one. And then the other most interface one right now, I believe, is the children who are being, and adults, but especially the children who are to this day being exploited in certain of these programs and projects and in various deep underground military bases. I see those as the two most important, and that's really all of what I call the full disclosure part. And then the next part is the ascension part, which is a spiritual awakening of humanity. And so our conference, we're combining a lot of the people who have recall and can testify to these time travel, breakaway civilizations, all these programs and projects, the bases. And then also, and that's like 70% of my content right now. And then 30% is like the ascension, spirituality, reincarnation, all of that it goes hand in hand. And over time, my vision is that we're going to be 70-30, and then it'll be 60-40, and then 50-50. It'll be less the need to disclose things because people are like, yeah, we know about the underground bases. We know about time travel and breakaway civilizations. I live for that day. And then it'll be more focused on, well, how do we spiritually evolve and ascend so that we're less focused on the gee whiz technology aspects, but how are we dealing on lighting up our light bodies and understanding that the spiritual sciences and understanding the purpose of, astral projection and healing from afar, or healing by laying of hands, and gift of clairvoyance and prophecy and intuition. All of these things go hand in hand. You can't give people UFOs if we're just going to get methed up, jump in our UFO, and then fly it through a crowd of people or into the Empire State Building, right? You don't want to give med beds to people who are going to jump in, get healed of everything, and then go do their crack addiction on the street, and inject themselves up with heroin because they're now in a 30-year-old body again. Okay, so with power comes responsibility. And this is, for me, it's a beautiful thing to see humanity get to be on this path. And this is the first time in our history where we're able to even think about stepping on that path in a way we want to, instead of being diverted down that transhumanism, Matrix, Mad Max timeline. That, yes, the other side, they want us down that, and they've tried everything, but they can't beat God's source. They can't beat the light. And we're on the positive timeline. And so I'd love to be back on your show here in the future. And I hope to have many of the presenters who are going to be on our stage who haven't perhaps yet been on your show, to end up here. And you're going to get to meet all of them in July. When you go to fulldisclosuremovement.org, you'll get not only the admissions passes, but tickets to the special event dinners. Jenny Lee is doing an exclusive psychic gallery where she can connect people with loved ones and pets who have passed on. And she's able to do it very rapidly and accurately. And all the proceedings of her exclusive gallery are going to support her. This is her first time out and about in about 2 years. And she does a lot of amazing work to help find missing people or to solve cold murder cases. I really support Jenny Lee and the others. We may have some UFO night watch tours with night vision gear. We're still organizing that aspect. And then we've got our sister event, Day of Being 5.0, which I hope that you and Lauga get to stay for as well, at nearby Indian Shores Beach, which is organized by Zachary and Sue Fisher in their 5th year. Think of all us secret space program survivors, testifiers, organizers, researchers, hanging out together on the beach after an amazing event. That's basically what we're doing with Day of Being 5.0. Since it's in their 5th year, they've grown from Saturday to now Saturday and Sunday. And so I'm almost looking forward to that as much as I am at my own conference. And I've got so many presenters that we removed my slot to speak, but I'm tempted to just give myself my slot back on the second stage, of course. Yeah.
That sounds so amazing. It's going to be absolutely incredible. So many people gathered there together. And of course, we hope that a lot of people are going to come. And how can people purchase tickets for it? I mean, you just mentioned your website, but do say it again in order for people to go in and get their tickets.
Yes, thank you, Lucas. If you go to fulldisclosuremovement.org, that's the website. And then in there, you'll be able to click buy tickets. And then that'll show you all the options that I mentioned earlier. And then if you enter in 2025 FDNC Lucas, your name, Lucas, and then the number 17. That's the discount code to give you viewers 17% off admissions passes. And then Lucas here will get 17% of all the ticket sale proceedings from passes bought using his discount code. And when you do that 2025 FDNC Lucas, the FDNC and L is all cap, and then the UCAS is underscore, lowercase, and then the number 17.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I didn't know it was so advanced.
Oh yeah. I've got an excellent web administration team, because not only are we throwing the conference series, from last year to this year and going into the future, we're also launching a full disclosure network entire online platform using Web3 and positive AI, so that when you go on our platform and you say, hey, tell me about the secret space programs. If you go on ChatGPT right now, they'll say, well, the SSPs are of a highly speculative nature. And it gives you this watered down BS that's not very long or detailed. When you go on ours, it's going to tell you everything, what aspect you want to know. Oh, by the way, you should check out these shows on our platform, or even these shows off our platform from our friendly contributors, such as Age of Truth TV, because that's how we play. We like to give out shout outs, would love to give out shout outs to people in our community, where even if you're separate from our network, we're going to shout you out, because you're doing amazing work. We're going to have the AI will be able to tell you, yeah, check out these conferences and events in your area, check out these groups and forums, and maybe they can even suggest linking up with fellow starseeds. So now we're transforming from this online platform that's kind of passive and you get to watch as a viewer, to one where you get to interact with other people in the community to maybe get back your memories, get out your testimony, support people who are trying to recover from trauma. And that's starting to give a lot more form and organization to our movement. And then from there, we get to speak with a much louder, more powerful voice. And we get to build New Earth at the same time.
So your platform, Full Disclosure Movement, is now underway in a way. So you're building that at the moment, and I guess you will be talking about that also at the conference. And I think we should do a part 2 and get into Montauk and the secret space program and ET stuff, whatever
Oh gosh,
we get around to today. So we should definitely do a part 2 at some point soon. But people should, of course, be aware of the fact that the Full Disclosure Now conference is taking place between the 15th and the 18th of July at Tampa Bay, St. Pete Beach in Florida. So, Brian Singh, was wonderful to have you on today, and thank you for being on Age of Truth TV, and we're going to do a part 2 soon, right? Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. God bless, and I appreciate everyone. You're an amazing audience, and thank you for having me on once again, and I'll be in touch, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Looking so much forward to see you.
All right, cheers, Laga. Yeah, bring your bathing suits, guys.
Yeah, we will.
We'll figure it out. It out.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Have a great day, okay?
See you.
Bye.
See you. Bye. Thank you very much to Brian Singh, the Solar Bee, and thanks to all of you for watching Age of Truth TV. You can support us by clicking onto our website, ageoftruth.tv. Please like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell for notifications. You can sign up for our newsletter on our website, ageoftruth.tv as well. Please also subscribe to our alternative channels on BitChute and Brighteon. Your support is greatly appreciated and very needed. And on behalf of the Age of Truth TV team, we thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.